Hello, hello. Welcome back, Derek. Great to see you.
Great to see you too. I love the countdown we get coming into Restream. The go with the exclamation point. It's
Go.
fantastic.
Time to go. Welcome everyone who is here joining us. As always, please feel free to put your questions and comments in the chat box. We're keeping an eye on that the whole time. So, Derek, do you want to share what we are looking at today?
We are going to take a look at the Elgin Financial Advisors website. And I'm thrilled to have an opportunity to share with you what you're seeing now. Jane Meefam has done a phenomenal job with this site. And as you and I were talking before we went live, by the time that Jane and I worked together, the site was already brilliant. And so a number of the tweaks that we may look at today were really, really small. But I think I think it's clear. It should be clear to everyone how many things are working well here. And I know, Katie, that was one of the things that you had wanted to lead with. So let's talk a little bit about that. What's working well here? And again, for those of you who are joining us, what are some of the things that your eye catches immediately here? Whether you're starting up at the top left of the screen, whether you're going across navigation, whether you look at what is it that catches your eye here? What's Jane done really well?
Yeah, and I can tell you from me when we first started talking about this and you were like, "Hey, we want to feature Jane." We want to, just so everyone knows, we really do want a balance of featuring men and women in the profession,
Yeah.
right? We want to be featuring everyone here. So Jane, huge shout out. Thank you for letting us feature you here, and kudos to you for already having a great site and continuing to say, "Yeah, but how can I make it a little bit better?" Right? How can you do that with clients and their financial lives? Just always striving for that little bit of extra excellence. So here, I absolutely loved, Derek, that my eye went, it did go to two different places kind of at once, but they're great places, right? I went to financial planning for foreign born individuals.
Yeah.
I instantly know exactly who she works with, which is
Yeah.
really, really not something we can say about, I honestly want to say like 90% of financial advisor websites.
Yeah. Well, that clarity is absolutely key. And again, it lets you know at the very start whether or not this Jane's going to be a good fit for you, right? And it also allows you at the very start to gauge, if you don't happen to be a foreign-born individual looking for financial planning, whether or not it makes sense for you to continue exploring this based on, I know this is a very imprecise way of putting it, but the vibe you're getting here. And I
Yep.
think that's one of the things. All of these little pieces are working together to create an experience that you're having even before you realize that's occurring. And so the clarity in terms of identifying the ideal client, and also that winning smile. I don't think we can ignore the fact that our eyes are immediately going to Jane's photo and how brilliant that decision was in terms of using that photo, the direct look at the viewer, the fact that it's not a stock image
Yeah.
immediately lets me get to know this person. And I got to tell you, this is somebody I want to learn more about based on these two elements that we're talking about.
And that was the second thing. Brian, I love it, right? Huge, huge claps here. And so, Derek, when I said my eye instantly went to two places,
Yeah,
that is the second place. And I hadn't
yeah,
even shared that with you previously, right? I was like torn
yeah,
between financial, like my eye read that instantly and then went directly across, saw that smile. I love the contrasting colors.
yeah,
That I think really makes this stand out because you've got that blue background, her beautiful mustard colored shirt, the
yeah.
top, right? It really stands out. And then, yeah, that smile that just says, right, I am welcoming, I am probably someone who understands what you're going through, which is why this is my
Yeah.
target audience, which I think always really lends itself to, furthering, right? We get that we have the both the text and that visual all telling the same story.
Well, and you have just touched upon a key point. This is true whether or not we're talking about static images or whether we're talking about video. When you have text and image working seamlessly like this together, you're doing something really impactful. One or the other, right? If you're elevating your video content, if you're really focusing on copy, fantastic. Those are absolutely steps you want to be taking. But the real difference maker is when these two things are working together in such an impactful way, like we see here. And another point I want to make is this is a wonderful opportunity to consider. I know how important consistency is in terms of a brand identity. But one of the things I love here, and you touched upon this briefly, not just the mustard colored sweater, but that turquoise background.
Yeah.
That is such an arresting choice in such constructive ways. It just draws your eye, and there's a wonderful, wonderful depth of field there, and there's a warmth. And I think that that's one of those things that really creating those personal touches on your site, those little things again that add up to that intuitive response, they're golden for you.
And we're talking about
Yeah,
background stuff. Nick, thank you. Thank you. I love that, right? We're kind of talking about backgrounds and depth of field. It is a real
yeah,
background, everyone, right? Those who know me, I do not believe in fake backgrounds. Don't do that. But that's exactly right. That's how Jane's is. It's very
yeah,
warm. It's very inviting. And so that kind of brings us in, right? And tells a
yeah.
story. But I really, Derek, I want to spend a minute focusing on that initial tagline, right? Financial planning for foreign-born individuals.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
how many advisor websites just kind of say things like, we help you plan to get to where you want to go. And I'm like, who is you? You help who plan what? Why?
Yeah. Well, and again, the specificity here
Yeah.
emerges from the deep reflective work that occurs as you are building out the deliverable, as you're building out the marketing collateral, right? A lack of clarity at those early pivotal stages winds up resulting in that generic boilerplate language, right? Again, it touches upon what's happening, it touches upon what you're doing, but you've done such a great job of indicating here that Jane takes this a step further and has such crystal clear languaging. The messaging here, again, allows me to know at a glance, I'm not an ideal client,
Yep.
right? I'm not, I don't fit into this category. Here's the thing that may sound perilous, but you've just saved a prospect time. They're going to appreciate that. And even though I'm not a foreign born individual, I've already started to buy into what Jane's doing here as a result of that clarity,
Yeah.
knowing she's got my best interests at heart. She's actually walking the talk literally in that tagline.
Well, and it's also, and we have like just over 2 minutes left, Derek. So I know there are a couple things we're going to want to get to really quickly here. But
Yeah.
also, it's if you and I, Derek, are not her target audience, guess
Yeah.
what? Maybe my colleague is, maybe my best
Yeah.
friend is, right? This is the big thing: is you want to be the person who is top of mind. If somebody is like, hey, I was born in another country, I'm trying to figure out how to get my finances in order in America. Instantly, we should be thinking of Jane,
Yeah.
and that's the challenge that I have with so many advisors. People still reach out to me because I was a former practitioner asking for recommendations. All I do is work with advisors all day long. And I'm constantly like, I don't know. I'm like, I mean, if you're within 3 to 5 years of retirement, I can tell you you've got the pick of the litter. But
Yeah.
otherwise, right, I'm not going to think of you. So,
Yeah.
what can you have on that tagline there that instantly, even if I'm not the right fit, I'm going to think of you for the person that is. So, Derek, like
Yeah.
a minute and a half left. What are some of those tiny little changes that you and Jane work together on her website here?
Very quickly, navigation. So again, not only is your eye going to scan left to right, top to bottom, so are web crawlers. And so you're going to see after the logo, the very first word on this website is our clients, then the services. We're creating a logical journey for a prospective client to take in terms of gaining information. And again, for Jane to continue to build rapport. Katie, you had mentioned something, and I think this is pivotal as well. Look at all of the space on this site
Yeah.
that allows your eye to easily scan. You don't have a laundry list of bullet points there. You have three bullet points. You have a clear check mark. So again, you're assisting in terms of accessibility. You're not creating emojis. You're not interrupting or overtaxing screen readers. The same thing with the periods at the end of each of those bullet points. And then in that button, the CTA, right? what we have, schedule my free financial assessment, right? I'm being spoken to directly and I now get to take action. I'm not being I'm not being directed. I'm
Yeah.
being empowered. Little changes like that. And then you'd scroll down. How much do I love the fact that the very next thing we see in the scroll is social proof as featured in, right? There's Jane's expertise. So you're leading with personality, you're leading with relatability, and then it doesn't hurt. I mean, look at those logos, look at the companies, and
Yeah.
look at the people that Jane's worked with. I'm convinced this woman is an expert in her field. And again, as you had said, even if I'm not working with her, she's absolutely going to be on my short list of someone I'm recommending to anyone who comes to me and asks, "Hey, I happen to be born in Belgium.
Yeah.
I'm looking for some tax help here in the United States."
Yeah. I love that. And Derek, we're already over our time. Did you want to just say one little thing about the quote here under Jane's picture?
What you see is the quote. You see Jane's personality again,
Yeah.
but look at the streamlined approach. There's no reintroduction. There's no introduction. We get that after the quote. The quote leads there
Yeah.
instead of, "Hi, I'm Jane. Here's the quote," and then Jane's name at the tagline. Uh, Again, just kind of pulling back some of those redundancies we may otherwise be inclined to include that are not helpful or constructive for our prospects.
Yeah, I love that less is more approach, which is why I love those 3 check marks there, right?
Yeah.
Keep it simple. I've got a max of 3 rule with just about everything I do. 3 is just a really great, nice number to be working with. So Derek, wonderful job. Jane, amazing job. So
Yeah.
well done on the clarity here. Thank you for letting us feature you, Derek. Any final thoughts?
Oh goodness. Other than I just want to keep enthusing about this website. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Questions, please continue the conversation in the
Yeah.
comment section. Don't hesitate to reach out to us with DMs or emails. We want to continue to feature work that's going to help you do the hard work of marketing much more easily going forward.
I love that. Derek, thank you. Everyone, thank you for joining us. Tune in next week. I will be on an airplane during this time next week, so I will not be here, but I believe we have a wonderful guest co-host next week, Derek.
We do. Kim Skirmer is going to be joining us, and we're going to be taking a look at the work that goes into building a personal brand.
That's amazing. I will definitely be tuning into that as soon as I land and can. Until then, everyone, thank you so much. We've got our last Chad snuck in at the last minute. Oh, and he just simplified his header. I love
Fantastic.
that, right? Making
Great.
those little tweaks that make a big, big difference. And someone else here, thank you. Oh, it might be Jane. It just didn't come.